Hello, family and friends. Excited to review the CSB Study Bible with you today. Previously, it was named the Holman Bible, and it went through a renaming or rebranding. We've got a hardcover today for review, and it is cloth overboard with some leather, and I love the ribs, the raised halves or ribs, whichever you call it. Gives it a classy look. This Bible was gifted to me by Glenn Messer, 2019 at the Village Church. Give me a note right there to myself and my wife. All right, so the CSB. What is unique about the CSB Bible? Well, regarding the translation, the CSB follows the optimum equivalence, which is a fancy word for being thought for thought and also word for word combination. So they don't focus only on getting the literal translation of the Bible from the Hebrew and Greek or the original languages, but they also focus on how it resonates or it catches the mind and the thought of readers today. We have our introduction pages and the features that you find herein. We have the cross references, the study notes, bold text in New Testament, maps, charts, word studies. This is a unique feature. Of course, there are illustrations, photos, introductions, timelines, and essays. I will say the word study is the unique feature of the CSB Study Bible. Why? Because no study Bible has the amount of word studies done in this Bible. This Bible will give you a word in the original language and how it has been used in the Bible, the number of times or occurrences. That is so helpful, I believe, so that you see how many times the word occurs, how it has been used, and what sense is being used in the particular passage you are reading. We will take a look at some of them to give us some insight. So we have the editors here, Edwin Blum, Trevin Wax. The Holman Bible, which has been rechristened the CSB Bible, is published by B&H, and so when you know that we are having the Southern Baptist Convention publishing arm, you are not going to surprise then that you have almost all the contributors being affiliated to the Southern Baptist. But then brilliant scholars, fine study notes you find here, highly recommend it. I've used it since 2019. It's been a blessing. So you find the names of the contributors here. And as well as essay contributors. Yes, this Bible is unique in the sense that you have optimum translation as well as word study. So we have the how to read and study the Bible notes here, which is helpful. A simple plan to do a study in the Bible all year round. How to read the Bible for transformation. Not as a newspaper, I believe. So, really good. Origin and transmission of the books, sources and authorship are relevant, and they have it here for both the New Testament, Old Testament, and why the Apocrypha and the Protestant Bible have differences, and what is the Apocrypha in the first place. This study Bible talks about that. You don't get that in many study Bibles, and that's a good thing. You find the introduction page to Genesis. And the study note, I think there's a font size of 9.5. And this will be less than a 7. Something that you may find in the hand-sized Bibles. So this is the first word study you find, Yom. And this Hebrew word is used 152 times in Genesis. But guess what? In the Old Testament, it has been used 2,301 times. The focus passage is Genesis 1:5, 8, 13 to 14, 16, 18 to 19, 23, and 31. This is helpful to get an understanding of this word. They trace it through the books, but also give you concise information on how it has been used. You get to do a deeper Bible studies with such resources, and they are helpful. So that is a unique feature of the book. And I love the coloring and the artwork they add into their work. It's just beautiful. You find maps embedded in the study Bible. That's awesome. I think the CSB does a great job with this. You don't get it in many study Bibles. Introduction to Exodus. And we find the Great Pyramid at Giza, which is the largest pyramid in the world. So they have an introduction page with a historical site related to the exact book that is about, which is beautiful. So beyond the study notes, you can also find in the introductions timelines. So you have timelines, for example, in the introduction to Leviticus, right here, Moses, Aaron, Joshua, and it is really helpful to see the years as well as the times that they were living. At the time of Moses, the Hyksos were ruling Egypt from 1630 to 1543 BC. All these are helpful notes for you. We have another word study note here on Deshen, which is ashes or oil. And they tell you the use in the Bible, as well as sometimes how the CSB has translated it. And CSB translations are ashes, oil, and abundance. Mostly they are the same translations you'll find in other good study Bibles, I believe. We have Numbers, and isn't it beautiful? You find beautiful pictures taken. So we have the grapes here, and such excellent colorful pages in the Bible. Beautiful maps. Let's get to the New Testament, in the intertestamental period. I want to show you something right here which I find so helpful after using this Bible for a year or 2. So this is the intertestamental period in between Malachi. Sometimes many wonder what really happened between the testaments. Did people live? Did people write? And this is helpful material which discusses who King Herod is, who we end up getting to know in Matthew chapter 1 about the birth of Jesus. So King Herod and who he is, we know that he's not a Jew. How did he become a king? And that is the answer you get when you read the intertestamental history, showing not only the rise and fall of the Persian kingdom or empire, but the Greek as well, with Alexander the Great. It shows also the Jewish independence, Antiochus Epiphanes of Syria and what he did, an abuse he did to the Jews mentioned here. And then we find the Roman period and the New Testament time, but it is in this Roman period that you should note Palestine under the rule of Augustus Caesar. The Hasmonean Empire that became dominant in the elite rule of Palestine during the days of Jesus has connections in the intertestamental period when the rule of the Jews following Maccabees and others in Masada fell, because you find Judas Maccabeus against the Syrian army here. He loses and dies, and the Maccabean reign fall. But then and there is when we find Herod, who reigns. So if you read the intertestamental period, we find also the Apocrypha and many of the writings which fell in between those times, but they were not classified as part of the canon because they were not used by the churches across the first century. The churches used most of the books in the Apocrypha only as personal readings and never used them from the preaching in the churches. And so that is why we don't have it in the canon of the Bible. And that is where a note like this is handy. The origin, transmission, and canonization of the New Testament. It gives and explains all this for you, so you know what factors led to the formation of this canon. And it is well written by great scholars. So we have the book of Matthew. Honestly, I really love the introduction pages. I don't know why. I hope you do. It's just beautiful to see this. It's beautiful, and it's also telling you something about the times. You will not read the book of Mark. You are not going to read the book of Mark without noticing. The light is off. You are not going to read the book of Mark without coming to terms with who Jesus is. So then when Jesus calmed the storm, this is the picture. It says, who then is this? The central question of Mark's gospel. Jesus' disciples asked this question to each other just after Jesus spoke to what seemed a life-threatening storm. Well, so yes, just amazing. There's another one for Ephesians. Timothy, Revelations. We have your concordance right here. And now let's make a statement here. This is a double column, not a single column Bible. You have your references traditionally placed in the center of the text. And it is something that you want to keep an eye out for. It is a red letter edition, and you will see that as well. Hopefully I mentioned it earlier on. As we wrap up, let's look at the maps. But then you find table, a Bible reading the Bible throughout the year. And then you are not going to find any theological notes at the end because they have been embedded, richly embedded in the text itself. That is exciting. I think it makes you want to read the theological notes. They are placed in between passages, and hopefully I find one for you. That is one right here. What really happened to the apostles is, let's look. I think we should be able to look at one. Not all of the books have them, but if we find one, we should be able to say something about it. Yes, so this is the Mission of the Church by Stezer, very fine missiologist. He's written on the mission of the church and the missional church here. This passage is found neatly in between John chapter 20 and John chapter 21. So that is one of those fine theological notes you see here. We have our maps, beautiful maps here, which ends the Bible, going through the times of the patriarchs straight into Judah, the time of Jesus, and now Paul's missionary journey. Hope you found this review not only exciting but informative. And until we come your way next time with another edition of Bible Review, stay safe and be blessed.